Hello world, Dano here, stacking paper as always. And today we get to talk about one of my favorite books that I've read this year, and that would be The Forever War by Joe Haldeman. This was my pick for the book club cycle, this second cycle of book club books, and obviously the book was amazing because I have incredible taste. Like, what are you gonna do, right? So The Forever War is well, first of all, I think this is a 10 out of 10 book. Like, I was going to give it a 9.5, but I think I just have to be honest. Like, this book is fucking perfect. It's very well paced. It's got an amazing narrative, incredible character work, because that's kind of the heart of the book. And just a good anti-war novel, a great anti-war novel, wrapped up in kind of this space opera cloak, because Joe Haldeman, he wrote this book right after coming back from the Vietnam War, and that's pretty much what this book is explaining, is how soldiers will go off to war, and by the time they come back, the country that they've been defending all these years, at least what they think, is already drastically different than the place they've left. And he uses time dilation to expound on this concept to like the nth degree, and it's done so well. So basically, humans are fighting these aliens called the Taurans. We don't really know how the conflict started, at least at the beginning. We just know that they're fighting, and they're drafting very specific people, smart people, very smart people. So everyone in this task force is like IQ of like 150 or above, crazy smart people, and they have to be put through grueling training, which actually kills a bunch of them, which is wild, that even before they get to war, they're just dying on this training planet. And he does a really good job of explaining the relative technology at the time. It's very influenced by Starship Troopers, you can tell, because of like the power suits that they're using. And it's really cool until they get to their first encounter with the Taurans, and it's kind of just a slaughter. Like, it's not even really a fight, it's just a massacre. These Taurans are so technologically behind where they are that, you know, it's a big victory, but they don't feel good about it because they use hypnotic suggestion to basically turn them into like bloodlusted animals. So they're higher up says like some phrase, and it's like some fucking Manchurian Candidate shit, and they just start massacring these aliens. It's brutal. However, time dilation is the core of this book. So the next time they fight the Taurans, they're now going to be way farther ahead technologically, because even though it's only been a few years for them, for those Taurans, it's like hundreds of years, right? So their second fight is much more grueling, but they win, and then they get to go home. Problem is, now they go home to a world that is, 40 years in the future? So a lot of their family members are dead. Their parents, if they're alive, are very old. And not just that, but culturally, the entire world has changed completely. So there's crazy food shortages. Most of the world is unemployed and on some type of UBI. Rampant crime, because people can barely afford to eat, and access to weapons is just so easy that there's just roving bands, and you have to hire bodyguards to like get anywhere. And also, most of the world is homosexual, because the world governments want people to be, simply because it's easier to handle because of food shortages. But yeah, look at it from Mandela's point of view. Mandela is the main character, William Mandela. Imagine coming home and realizing not only is your father dead, but your mom's also gay now. Like, what the hell? So he goes back to this Earth, and another really funny mechanic of this book, and it's hilarious because this book is weirdly funny in a lot of moments, even though it gets really dark. It's a military sci-fi at the end of the day, but it has these moments that are just like so absurd that you can't help but laugh. So one of the mechanics of this book is they actually make a lot of money in the army because, again, due to time dilation, they have compound interest. So you're getting a paycheck, and even though you've only worked for 2 years, according to Earth time, they've been fighting for 30 years. So they have 30 years of compound interest on top of their pay that just essentially makes them rich as hell. The problem is every single time they come into these mass amounts of money, the world changes to a point where that money is essentially meaningless. So they go to the Earth, right? And money is just not a thing anymore. Everything is measured in calories now. So you have food rations, and people will either sell rations, or the people who have jobs will sublet their jobs to other people. And like they go through like back market dealers who are like trading jobs between people. It's so bizarre because the idea is there's not that many room for people with jobs, and you have to have qualifications to get those jobs. But there's no one to get qualifications anymore because there is no real schooling anymore. The only schooling is done through television, and it only gives you like so much. So William is, I believe he's a physicist, but there's no point for physicists anymore because everyone just learns through the TV. It's so wild. And you know, he meets up with his girl, his love interest. There is a bit of a love story kind of in the background of this whole story. Comes forward near the end. Meets her family who works on a farm. He finds it to be a better life until a roving band of fucking not mercenaries, but just gangs essentially come to like kill them and rob them. Kills her parents, and then they go, you know what? The Earth has changed so much. Fuck this place. We're gonna go back to I would rather go back out into space fighting aliens than being back here on Earth. So they go to the moon. They're supposed to be stationed there as like teachers, but as soon as they get there, their orders change immediately because it's the army. They can tell you what to do whenever they want. And they get split up. Or sorry, no, they don't get split up. My apologies. They get sent to war, but together. At which point they get completely wrecked because the Taurans are now so far ahead. They then get sent to this like recovery planet where they get their limbs regrown because he's lost his leg, and what's her name? Is it Potter? Her name's Mary Gay, I believe. Anyways, she loses her arm, and they get their limbs regrown. And while they're on this planet, they're also they're rich as hell now too because they've been in the army so many years. But everything on this recovery planet costs so much money that it's essentially as if they weren't millionaires. So again, every single time they're able to either use their money or use their influence in the army, so much time has passed that all the rules have changed, and now they keep experiencing what's called future shock, where they just can't adapt to the future because it's changing so quickly. And he just uses this concept so well, because then the next time this happens, they get split up, him and Mary Gay, and they both realize that because they're going to completely different places that are many light years away, they're never going to see each other again. Because if they ever get back to each other, so many times going to have passed that they've died, you know? So that's like the super depressing part of this book. And at the same time, Mandela keeps going up through the ranks in the army, not by merit, but just because he's been in there longer than everybody else. Because of time dilation, he's one of the only like original fighters of this war. Because now when he's in the army, he's commanding soldiers, but guess what? Now homosexuality isn't just a suggestion. You have to be homosexual. And if you're not, if you're heterosexual, they look at it as a disease to be fixed, which is just a really good commentary on especially what was happening in the U.S. at the time when it comes to like religious fundamentalists who believe that, you know, being gay is just a disease that can be cured. This is just the inverse of that. It's showing how ridiculous that concept is by flipping it on its head, and that was brilliant. So now he doesn't really have the respect from the people he's commanding, because not only is he a completely different sexual orientation than literally everybody else, he doesn't look like them because of how much interbreeding has gone on Earth. Everyone just is the same shade. Everyone has this vaguely brownish, kind of Polynesian-y in appearance. And then on top of that, they speak English in a way that he can't even understand. You know, think about how much English has changed since like Shakespeare's time till now. It's like that, but even more because of how much time has passed. It's more time has passed since then. So they speak in this slang that he doesn't get. And he forces everyone else, because he's the higher up, that he's like, you guys all have to learn my version of English. So they kind of despise him for that now too. And I think one of the soldiers just straight up tries to kill him, right? It's brutal. But near the end of the book, they finally kind of have this last battle with the Taurans, and it's very intense. They use like stasis fields and crazy bombs, and it's really interesting. Oh, that's another thing. Fuck. See, like I keep forgetting shit because so much shit happens in such a short period of time. The technology with the army has also changed completely. So those spacesuits he was using when he was first part of the military, they're completely different now. They're way more advanced, and he has to now relearn how to do it. He goes through this like matrix training process where, you know, like the I know Kung Fu. He like hooks shit up to his brain, and he learns in a very short period of time like all the martial arts, how to use all these weapons, and it's fascinating, honestly. But they defeat these Taurans in this last battle, and then he finally travels back to the core military base. Now another hundreds of years have passed, and now there aren't even humans anymore. Everybody's a clone, and all these clones basically sit Mandela down and tell him, hey, this war you've been fighting this whole time, yeah, it's the dumbest thing we've ever done. It was all based on a huge misunderstanding. Because the Taurans themselves are also all clones. So once humanity was able to just clone itself, they were able to communicate with these other clones, and they realized, oh, this war started because a couple humans, when they found out how to do interstellar travel, they made some mistakes and they died. And people on Earth who just wanted an excuse to fight a war blamed it on these aliens and just went to war. And then they've just been fighting ever since. And that's why the entire like global economy has been based on this war. So it's like this endless war machine that had to keep going until we get to this clone point where they realize, oh, this is meaningless and we've just wasted thousands of years fighting a war for nothing. But it does have a happy ending, because these clones created a colony in space where anyone who is still heterosexual and wants to, you know, procreate normally can go there. And turns out Mary Gay has been there this entire time. And she's been using time dilation and traveling through space every few years to kind of combat aging, so that she can stay relatively the same age. And she just kept doing it with the hopes that eventually one day he'll be able to come by and live with her. And he does. He goes to live with her, and that they have a child, and, you know, that's how the book ends. But, oh my goodness, this shit was fucking amazing. Like, there's no other words for it. It's extremely well paced. It's emotionally touching. Amazing character work. Amazing action scenes. Like, it takes this concept of time dilation and just uses it so well to just show that interstellar travel is truly a one-way trip, because, you know, you can come back to certain locations, but it's never going to be the same as it once was, and you either have to try your best to adapt or just lose your mind, you know. But amazing anti-war novel. It's a 10 out of 10. This is absolutely one of the best books I've read this year, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. So thank you. Until next time.